Did you have a nice weekend, Richard? I'll ask you. I never ask you that when we start these things, so maybe that'll be our little
Yeah,
starter.
thank you very much. I don't remember any of it. Drive driving children to lessons and birthday parties.
Uh,
I think
that
that
sounds
was
about right. So
what
we'll
what
talk more
was
about this next week. But it's the materialists this weekend. Excellent. So I think you should check it out. I recommend
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
from Celine's song there, her next movie. So
oh, very good, very good.
recommend there. Good New York movie.
I'll be seeing Elio on Tuesday night.
Oh, okay,
So
great. All right. Well, I look forward to your review.
yeah. Shall we
Well,
dive in?
should we dive in with our
Think
favorite
we have a
conglomerate,
quorum?
Richard? I think we have a quorum. I think we're moving up here. So,
So
yes,
what do
we
you think?
we have the WB and the D are splitting again, Richard. These things just can't stay together. First Endeavor, and then now WBD. We have had two companies now that just the thesis doesn't seem to be holding, Richard, or at least among the executives. So, what's striking you here?
Uh, so it's following the trail blazed by Comcast there
And
uh,
Comcast, yeah.
of taking all your basic cable assets and firing them into the sun, putting them on a rocket and saying best of luck.
Best of luck.
Uh,
Yeah,
Bye bye Gunner.
yeah,
Um, the but I mean the big thing that strikes me is. So whatever the logic of the Warner Discovery merger was in the first place has now just been
yeah.
completely. I mean, what is the case to be made other than saving it from AT&T, which a worthy cause,
Sure, right.
I
Yeah.
suppose. What is the case to be made that there was any value added by that by this whole? How long has it been since that was announced now?
Three
5, 6
years,
years?
well, no, well, since it was announced, but the deal was 2022. So, we just had the 3-year anniversary in April. So, since the
Yeah.
company was formed. So,
So and
uh,
a year before that, when it's
right.
announced and frozen, and this 4 year adventure with come to layoffs and debts and everything else,
Yeah.
uh, we was I don't recall what the rationale was for it at the time, but um,
It doesn't seem to matter anymore. So yeah, I think we're good here. It's just a matter of like, and again, the AT&T factor. You're right. There was a lot going on there, and it's not just a simple combination. Like, what if you just left these companies alone? It's like the only thing that's really changing is was that TNT, TBS, CNN are going out of the company. So like, could you have just split them off 3 or 4 years ago and kept the studio and Max and all this stuff together, and not gone through this whole charade and given everybody their $60 million paydays, and obviously, two ways to get paid, media, Richard: building companies and taking them apart. So I think we're about to see what the what the other side of that is,
so
as
they did both.
they're about to do
Um,
both. Yeah, yeah,
uh,
follow the money.
so yeah, it's just been. I think it's been an exercise for most of showbiz, an exercise in kind of denying the inevitable for about 5 years here. That
Right. Yep.
the cable button. This is what you and I talk about all the time. The basic problem here is that you have a bunch of companies that were built around a cable bundle, and as one very wise man said, the business of studios is the business of cable TV. And,
Hmm.
and he added as a codicil that even movies are the business of cable TV.
Right.
So um, so now they're going to take that and fire it off into the sun. Good luck. Best luck to you there, CNN and all that.
Yeah.
Um, and see see what you can do with what remains.
Yeah, I mean, so what remains? It's funny, the studio, the studio is being the one that's spun off here. So it's actually the networks is still going to be the WBD if you're going to be particular about it. But
Yeah.
there was an investor call this morning. I just finished listening to it before we hopped on here, Richard. And Zaz was asked about the movie business, and he's like, it's actually a pretty small part of our business. So like, again, like this is the TV company. Like, remember what this company is, and he means more studios and like the WBTV and the library and all that kind of stuff is where the real money comes into. But just just a reminder of how big the movie part of that is. But it's a few questions. Obviously, it's not going to happen for another year, Richard. So again, like Spinco and NBCU, it's a year-long process here. So it's not like it's like, oh, this has happened and it's done. A lot
So,
more to come here.
what kind of regulatory approval does this need?
It's a
Is my
spinoff. It's not a sale, so you're not selling anything. You need tax, like they're saying it's a tax-free endeavor, a business move. So like they have to get like approval from like the accountants, of the world.
but
So
does someone somewhere in the executive branch of Washington have to sign a piece of paper for this
no,
to happen?
only from
So,
a tax point of view, which I don't think is going to be a real. I don't think that's a real thing they can put a stop on. So yeah, this isn't like with Spinco at NBCU. It's not dependent upon our buddy Brendan Carr at the FCC or anybody else there to give their blessing on this thing. So
we can certainly see certain people hearing that CNN
yeah,
needs
look, they'll
government
look at it.
approval,
Maybe
and
they'll make something up, Richard. I don't. You're not. That's not entirely wrong. Maybe there will be something, but yeah, this does involve CNN. Exactly right.
yeah, I don't know if they
Uh,
need if they need to get a tax break to do the new
that's
stationery or something, or
right. They may
borrow move.
find something very creative. The Act of 1832 that prohibits the newspaper business from I don't know who knows
Yeah,
what
just breaking up companies that were just created within the last
the
five
last
years.
three exactly, yeah, right. There could be an old statute on the books, but
Uh, so
so
the cable business becomes Warner Discovery.
yeah, essentially yeah. So then the studios and streaming will be the Spinco will be the new co will be that.
And
Yeah.
they haven't given that a name.
There's no names involved here yet. No, no. We just had a Spinco, so I don't even know if we can call this Spinco. I don't. We have to kind of
But
ruminate
it
on
won't
this,
be
Richard.
called Warner. It won't be called Warner Brothers. Or
One of them will probably the studio will probably still have the Warner name in it. The one that's called Global Networks, which is really just it's Discovery. I mean, it's basically what it is. It's Discovery. On the whole, if you're looking at that company, so if you're going to argue at that point, you would take the Discovery name on the other company and keep Warner's on the what you and I would traditionally call Warner's. In that sense.
right.
So, or if you want to go
Well,
back, Richard, it's really a combination of Discovery and Turner. If you want to
yeah.
really go back in history here.
But I mean, just for the folks at Warner's and Adrian and everything, when
Oh
you
yeah.
look at the history here, like how many owners and divisions, and
Yeah.
they over the last decade. When did this start with the sale to
I mean,
AT&T? When
2018 was when that finally went through. So but it started kind of in 2016-ish as a conversation point when
so
Bucas
2016 was
started doing his search. So yeah, so 9 years
so
ago.
yeah, it's been constant
Yeah,
chaos and upheaval since for 10 years there. So
yeah, for one of the most stable companies, in Hollywood, arguably speaking, especially in the 2000s for sure. So yeah, it's the state of the business, Richard. But I will say this is kind of caps off that we had Comcast and they're in the middle of spinning off Versant, which will be the end of this year. We've had Disney making some cuts. ESPN is going, kind of D2C there. And we still have Paramount looming here, Richard, which still has
yeah,
the same problem. They haven't, obviously they're waiting for the Skydance thing to happen, but there's going to be a big change there as soon as that transpires. And there may be some more, I've heard some more, changes and downsizing there, maybe in the more closer future than not. So there's still more to come here. This June's a very busy month, Richard, for this all of a sudden.
and for the
The
folks in these cable companies, I mean, I'd say have a look at the recent experience of Gannett
this
and
is the
uh,
newspaper
and
business, the radio
and the Tribune
business.
and Trunk and all that, and
Yeah,
get
this is your
take
future.
take a good look at where it's at. I'm sorry to say.
It
Um,
is. It is to a degree, but it's a declining business that's managed for for margin. So yep, that's it
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
right.
then
Well, we'll see what transpires, but the box office goes on, Richard. So no matter what, we're
more
still putting
more
up
or less.
more or less, more or less. Bit of we've had 2 weekends here now. I put in the title the wake up last night. Bit of malaise here to start off June for 2 weekends. What's striking out? I'll start off with you. What's standing out for you right now?
Uh, you know, a lot of lessons in proving the obvious. The from the world of
Right,
can we retire from the world of Mad Max, from the world of John Wick, from the world of
right.
all these things? The idea that you can just sort of passed the torch on a franchise, and it stayed alive. I mean, Ballerina may be good, maybe bad, maybe whatever. What it isn't is a movie of Keanu Reeves shooting people,
which is what most
uh,
people sign up for.
which is what John Wick was, and
Yeah,
why people came to John Wick. Um, so from the world of gives you this wishful thinking that you can just sort of like, oh, we will just keep this going with other totally
yeah.
other people, but your star matters.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And a character that, frankly was not, I mean, they're trying to build this character, but yeah, the movies are called John Wick. Like, it's not like it's the MCU or the Avengers where, oh, we're gonna spin somebody out. It's like it's the movies are literally called John Wick.
Yeah,
So you're essentially not starting from scratch on another part of it, but you kind of are here. It's not the same kind of thing as other examples of, I guess the comic book universe is the most, example of like, oh, well, how do we build these universes out? But some things are just
but I mean, you look at the post Endgame history of Marvel, and that's also kind of a you know
Oh yeah.
Marvel
Well,
in the phases 1 through 3 built this thing on these certain characters and certain actors, and rose up to become
big
the quote
success.
biggest movie ever made, and then also tried the handoff to okay, and now we're going to keep it going with these new people,
Yeah.
and that it you bring in new people, essentially you're starting a new project, and
Yeah. Right.
that, that so if this were just Ballerina and you lost from the world of John Wick, would 25 million seems about right for
Yeah, I
where you'd
guess
expect that to open.
a female lead action movie, right? Yeah. Yeah. From the director of, or whatever that kind of thing, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that seems a
Or the producers of.
respectable opening for a movie just called Ballerina starring Ana de Armas. I mean that why
Right.
not? It's
Right.
uh, if you pitch that and it didn't have John Wick in it, and you said let's spend 150 million making it, uh,
Yeah, that would be a bit much. Yeah, and Lionsgate did mitigate some of the costs there, but but Richard always the Marvel films also like again, not to spoil John Wick for you, but he expires or seemingly expires at the end of part four. This plot has nothing to do with where we left off in this franchise. So you're also coming in. It's around the events of John Wick 3. So it's not even you usually don't have that. What worked for Marvel was the tease of finding out the next thing in the soap opera. Essentially this didn't even have that either. So you kind of lose there, on both having a new character and not continuing any kind of a narrative like, oh, find out what happens next kind of thing. It's like that must see factor, which apparently wasn't there for the Wick
I
fans, or
mean
to a large degree at least.
I saw the John Wick uh, movies. If you put a gun to my head, I could not tell you who he fought in the last one or why or what they were
Look,
like.
I saw four as well, and I'm a little look. I'm glad it did well, but yeah, I'm the same way. I gotta say, all right.
If you tell me that like, oh, this thing was unresolved, I'm like,
Sure. Which one was that guy? Right. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Which is also maybe part of the problem here, Richard, in building this universe out is that it's just John Wick and dot dot dot. To a degree where it doesn't have this rich universe of, outside of Ian
so
McShane or something. But
a John Wick film isn't a genre or a type of thing or a kind of like there can't be all kinds of John Wick films with all sorts of people. A John Wick film is John Wick shooting people as
right.
played by
That's
Keanu Reeves,
right. Yeah.
created by one actor, played by him.
Yeah, guy looking for his dog. His dog died. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. That's it. End of story. Yeah, yeah.
So if it's not that,
It's
it's some
this,
other kind of film.
which
And Ballerina, I haven't seen it yet. Maybe a very
yeah,
good film. Or it has to, but whatever it is, it has to live and die by the strength of Ballerina. So,
right.
and
And
given that, I would say, if you told me that 25 million is about where I would have expected it to come in.
yeah, that's not a bad assessment, Richard. I mean, yeah, it just has that extra ballast around it. And look, the larger picture here is the question being, is there any life or juice outside of this franchise? Look, Keanu's not getting any younger, yada yada yada, and it's like, all right, can we make this? We own this IP, right, Richard? What can we do with it, kind of thing? And they've tried the Peacock series, the Continental, which maybe it was fine. I don't know. Anybody really, was out there. This is the next. They're trying to do stuff here. They built I'm calling it a theme park, but an experience in Las Vegas. You can go, I guess have some John Wick experiences in Las Vegas. Lionsgate's trying to milk this out, but some things, as you said, like it's just the DNA of it may just be kind of limited in terms of what you can do here. Again, maybe there's some business, Richard, and you said 25 million, not bad, but it ain't going to be the
Yeah.
400 million that the last John Wick movie made. That seems to be the lesson here, doing it to a
Yeah.
degree. But
And I would just say, if you're David Ellison and you're thinking about a post Tom Cruise future for Mission Impossible, and you're convincing yourself that you can just pass the torch to whoever,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
will just be fine because it's from the world of Mission Impossible. Like,
yeah.
take a good look here.
What that DNA of that thing is, yeah. What's that Mission Impossible without Tom Cruise? But well, let's talk about that movie, Richard. I mean, look, it's honestly, I know it had the big opening on Memorial Day weekend, the record-setting thing, and I looked at the numbers this week. We're 3 weekends in here, and it's doing the same number that the last one did globally. I mean, it's
which
they
which was
equated,
widely which
which
was
was what
widely considered a
uh,
disaster.
it was not good. So it's actually interesting how the numbers are kind of trending out here over time. They're both at about 450 million global. At the third weekend, we'll see how it plays out, of course, but just kind of says there's a ceiling for these movies, and they spend, again, reported about $400 million on this. They will get nowhere near, the 800 million it would take to vaguely break even on this thing. So again, what are you? I know we've talked about this reviving the franchise, but Tom Cruise, the costs get built up. But if you're going to continue this franchise, you have to do it for at least half the price. Like, there's no way this doesn't make any sense. The last one had the same problem.
I mean, we come back to we the last 15 years are about relearning some basic lessons of entertainment, and there was it used to be the math of sequels used to be you
Right.
lose
Like
50% each time, everything,
for 40, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, at least a third.
and
Yeah,
and Marvel convinced us that no, you don't,
you've
it
been
doesn't
doing it
have
all
to be.
wrong. Yeah,
I mean, and Fast and the Furious for that matter.
true. Yeah,
And yeah, so that can happen. It was really interesting to see that it did. Uh, but I think we go back to where we consider those the exceptions to the rule. That Mission Impossible doing put the budget aside.
Mm.
This is making a lot of money for the eighth installment of a
True.
franchise.
That's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, that's true.
but it's the eighth installment. Like
Right.
how like excited can you get the world about part eight? Like it's. I mean, I like the film very much. I'm happy to say the stunts are amazing. I think it's a great time. But you're it's part eight. It's not like you've
Yeah,
never
you're
seen
not
this. You've never
reinventing
seen
the
this
wheel here.
before.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we're seeing a bit in the numbers, where we saw that initial pop of like interest and like, oh, it's the last one, and everybody's like, oh, it's just another Mission Impossible movie. Like, great, but not like this. Like, oh my God, you have to go see this one because it's blah 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 blah. Or it's. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing in the numbers. Kind of like, oh, okay, the fans came out. Maybe I'll go see this kind of movie, and it checks the box. But if you are looking ahead, though, Richard, it's like, again, what do you do with this thing? And yeah, what is it without Tom Cruise? Number one. Number two, what are the numbers telling you these movies can really do, and how much should you spend accordingly if you want to have any hope of making any, theatrical profit on this, or much less one down the line? So,
So I I returned to my prediction of last week. It would not. It's beyond a prediction because it's just ironclad.
oh,
Tom Cruise will absolutely do another Mission Impossible movie.
all right, yeah,
There's no there. I will bet anyone at any odds you want. I will bet you $1 million at 1,000,000 to 1 odds
all
that
right,
that he will do another Mission Impossible movie.
all right,
And I know the numbers don't add up and everything. They will find a way because
sure,
that's the only thing that makes sense for both of them.
all right,
Um, the but I look at the summer here,
yeah,
looking at all these things, and I mean, this is kind of the story of the summer that you've got you've got Lilo and Stitch as a giant hit in the family thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
apart from
monster.
that, this is become so it's becoming an underwhelm. We don't have anything that's like this is the big phenomenon. This is the thing you've got to see. This is the thing that
Well,
becomes a cultural force
yeah.
beyond the box office.
Well, I'd say, I mean, Lilo is that for not for me, and it's not, but like arguably that movie's at $800 million in 3 weeks. Like that is that is a phenomenon of a movie. Like I'm not saying it's like, oh my god, you're telling all your friends
Yeah,
that,
no, no,
but
I but I'm putting family in a special
yes,
category.
no, I understand. I understand what you're
The
saying. Yes, but I would say that the Final Destination movie did that to a degree. I mean, I maybe
yeah,
not, because that movie is doing. I think it's what two. Let me see, $260 million globally already. And so that
yeah.
for a certain
I
again
mean,
for a certain contingent of people, yes, is it anything new? It's also a sixth movie in the franchise. So again, is it anything new or fresh? It's not. It's not Sinners. There's nothing like, oh my god, this is a fresh voice, a new fresh. We haven't had that movie yet, and I don't know. We'll see if we get it.
just the thing that becomes a cultural phenomenon beyond like, okay,
Across four
you know,
quadrants. Yeah, yeah,
exceeded its energy number by 6% or whatever, and
yeah,
something that just becomes a runaway, like Sinners did,
yeah,
becomes
yeah.
a runaway phenomenon. So let's look at where we are at this moment. How many weekends are we into the summer now? Three
Well,
or
we
four?
started with if we're starting with Thunderbolts, we're at about I think it'd be week 6. I would guess you'd say. If we're talking Memorial Day, we're at
Okay.
week 3.
So the top 10 right now. So Lilo, we talked about, big hit,
Yeah,
great.
printing
Uh,
money.
Ballerina, disappointing. Mission Impossible, disappointing.
Yes.
Uh,
Well, Karate Kid is the other one we
Karate,
didn't mention here yet. So
Karate Kid, disappointing. Um, Final Destination, 4 weeks old.
yeah,
Uh,
but big
Wes
hit, big
Anderson,
hit,
what's that?
but a big hit. I will say, that's not disappointing.
Uh,
That one exceeded expectations.
Wes Anderson movie,
Yeah, the Phoenicians came
doing
here.
fine. Six
Yeah,
million
but
dollars.
it's 6 million. The last one did 9. That's a question mark. The cinema scores there were a B minus on that. That was the thing that stood out to me was that this is supposedly a hot audience for this is the opening night audience for a Wes Anderson movie, and he's even a B plus to the movie. That's not great.
Um, Bring Her Back,
Bring her back. It's a horror A24 horror movie doing fine, but not
14 million it's made, so
yeah.
whatever. The then Da
Mm.
Dan Da Dan,
It's it's an animated
uh,
G Kids movie.
G
Yeah,
Kids. So
and
you got
then
that. Sinners, 8 weeks old.
yeah.
Thunderbolts,
Oh,
six
that's
weeks
right.
old. So
Yeah.
There's your top 10, sort of
Yeah.
a third of the way through the summer.
Yeah. No, I
That
agree. I mean,
that that that's not good.
well, it's mixed. I would say it's is it out of the look? We've had 2 weeks of movies that just weren't received well. I mean, honestly, it's as simple as that. I mean, that's the bigger thing where I think Memorial Day continued the momentum, Final Destination continued the momentum. Like that was a hot month, and April was a hot month. Like this June is just not. We have How to
And
Train Your
you
Dragon,
and you
and
have the and combined with Mission Impossible is not having the legs it might have hoped
it's not
for.
Top Gun Maverick, which is everybody's kind of like
Yeah,
by any stretch of the imagination.
and it's just a thin lineup. Just
Well, it's
so
one, again, it's this 1 a week thing, which you mentioned, before. It's like this isn't a deep bench, So if your movie, the movie of the week doesn't, if it does what it does this weekend and it does what it did last weekend in Karate Kid, like, yeah, not great, But I think like How to Train Your Dragon is going to be, I think that's going to bring some juice back. I think that's going to be a pretty big movie
yes.
this weekend. So got
Okay, so
F1 coming up and Megan, and
yes.
we'll see.
So let's look ahead. You got Dragon coming up. You got what's after that?
So then we're going then you have the Elio, which you'll report back to us next week about that, obviously,
Yeah.
and 28 years later, which is tracking pretty strong. I think that's on number 35, 40 million, and those are together, or that's in the same weekend. Then you have Megan and F1, which are again, so you have these again twofers going on. This is the last weekend of just having one one big movie, then we have a few weeks, quite a few going into then
Then,
Jurassic and Superman,
then
obviously for
Jurassic and
July.
Superman. All
Yeah.
right. Well, let's hope for a rebound in July.
Uh,
And
I think
uh,
June was going to be much better. I think this is just the first half and second half of June are going to be the tale of two half months here, Richard. I think there'll be more to come, but it is tough. Some looking back, I was looking every week. I look back at the this weekend in previous years. This one just happens to be a dud. I mean, it's just but you've had Spider-Man. The Spider-Verse was one of them. I was big. Jurassic World did 200, like 180 million one like in 2022. So this summer just didn't have that movie there, quite frankly, in this period. And we're seeing that's what we're seeing right now. So I hope this is a small blip. And again, keep that momentum going where I think hopefully Dragon brings us back up. And then, these other films keep it going. So, and Materialist this Friday. So I will give a special shout. That's not going to
yeah,
do $100 million, but hopefully movies for adults, Richard. We have a movie, it's a thinking person's smart movie to go check out, and a romance. It's an old fashioned
R
New York
and
romance. So,
R-rated comedy. The
well,
my pet cause. So
yeah,
uh,
well, that's the one we're still. I mean, that's the friendship's still doing. $15 million, not bad. But
yeah,
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 now a good summer R-rated. Yes, laugh fest. Well, Naked Gun, Richard. We got Naked Gun in August. So listen,
absolutely.
I'm going to have to fly out to LA so you and I can go see that together. I think or something to go celebrate it.
One of these is going to become the new Hangover, and everybody's going to say, "Oh my
Exactly.
God,
Why are we
R-rated
doing
comedy!
these? Yeah, right. Yeah,
That's
who
something
knew?
that you can't get on cable. That's
Yeah,
something
right.
that
People
but
like to laugh together. Remember that? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
this can become comedy's become an event,
Yes,
and
right, right, right. Yeah. Popular
one of
thinking.
these days that
One of these days.
maybe Materialist will be the one.
Well, yeah, I think my money's on Naked Gun, but we'll see how it goes. But all right, Richard. Well, go get rid of all your WBD merch. Make sure you buy it all up before you get it for your eBay collections here next to
Who
your
gets the
HBO.
water tower? Who gets
Yeah,
the
I
water
don't
tower
know.
this
That's
year?
yeah, that's a good point. Man, so much between WBD and Max going to HBO Max. There's a lot of of outdated merch in the closet there.
the, the
That's a lot
museum of logos.
of corporate
Uh,
logos. Yeah, yeah,
and let's again give the Millennium Prize to Jeff Bewkes, the man who knew the moment to get the hell out of this,
exactly. And this
and
is
nothing has proven him wrong since.
9 years later. It's still going on. So yeah, still looking for the exit. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All right, Richard. Good to see you. We'll
good to
see
see
you
you.
around the office. See you next week. All right. Thanks everybody for
Okay,
listening. Appreciate it.
bye bye.